The arrival. In the vast expanse of space, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across velvet, a small human vessel glided toward an uncharted planet, its hull shimmering under distant suns. Inside, Sergeant Maxine Max Carter adjusted her gear, her heart racing with anticipation. This was not just another mission. It was humanity's chance to prove itself in a galaxy filled with unknowns. As they broke through the atmosphere, the view outside transformed dramatically. Lush green forests clashed with jagged mountains, while rivers wound like silver ribbons through valleys shrouded in mist. Yet beneath this beauty lay danger, a world known for its ferocious wildlife and hostile inhabitants. Max's eyes narrowed as she reviewed her mission briefing again, mentally preparing herself for what lay ahead. The ship landed with a soft thud, sending vibrations through its frame. Max gathered her squad, an eclectic mix of humans and aliens, each equipped with unique skills honed for survival in this death world. They formed a tight-knit unit, bound by shared experiences and mutual respect despite their differences. As they disembarked, Max felt a surge of pride. They were about to make history together. "Stay sharp," she instructed, her voice steady as they stepped onto the alien soil. The air was thick with humidity, carrying scents that were both foreign and intoxicating. "We don't know what we're up against." The team moved cautiously through the dense underbrush, their senses heightened. Every rustle in the foliage could signal danger. Every shadow could conceal an enemy. Suddenly, an ear-splitting roar echoed through the trees, causing everyone to freeze in place. Max raised her hand, signaling for silence. "What was that?" whispered Private Leo Garcia, his eyes wide with fear. "Could be anything," Max replied, her mind racing through possibilities. "Stay alert." Without warning, a massive creature burst from the trees, a towering beast covered in scales that glistened like armor. Its eyes glowed with primal intelligence as it charged toward them, teeth bared in a menacing snarl. "Contact," Max shouted, raising her weapon as adrenaline surged through her veins. "Engage." The squad sprang into action, firing their weapons at the beast while dodging its powerful swipes. It was chaos, alien projectiles whizzing past them as they fought to protect one another amidst roars and gunfire. Despite their training, nothing could prepare them for this raw display of nature's fury. Max ducked under a sweeping claw, rolling to regain her footing before firing at the creature's exposed flank. Her shot found its mark. It howled in pain, but didn't relent. Instead, it turned its fury toward her. "Max!" Leo yelled as he rushed forward to draw its attention away from her. "Get back!" she shouted, but it was too late. Leo was already too close. In one swift motion, the beast swiped him aside like he was nothing more than an insect. He hit the ground hard, groaning in agony. No rage ignited within Max as she watched Leo struggle to rise. She aimed again, this time focusing all her energy on taking down this monstrous foe that threatened her team. With renewed determination, she squeezed the trigger once more, this time aiming for its throat, and felt satisfaction when it staggered back with a pained roar before collapsing to the ground in defeat. Panting heavily, Max rushed to Leo's side as he lay there, clutching his ribs. "You okay?" she asked urgently. "I think I'll live," he gasped out between labored breaths. "But I'm definitely going to feel that tomorrow." "Good," she said with a faint smile despite her worry. "We need you back on your feet." As they regrouped after defeating the beast, tension hung thick in the air like fog. They had survived their first encounter on this death world, but at what cost? "Let's keep moving," Max commanded firmly but gently as she helped Leo up from the ground. "We need to find shelter before nightfall." The squad pressed onward through dense foliage that seemed alive with sounds, chirps and rustles that hinted at unseen creatures watching them from afar. Each step felt heavier than the last. Uncertainty loomed over them like dark clouds ready to unleash a storm. Max couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being observed by something far more intelligent than mere beasts lurking in shadows. She glanced at her team. Each member wore expressions ranging from fear to determination, and felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility wash over her. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for humanity's place among these stars. A chance to show that they were not just fragile beings from a backwater planet, but resilient warriors capable of facing any challenge head-on. As dusk fell over this alien world, casting long shadows across their path, Max resolved that they would not falter again. They would face whatever came next together, united by purpose and driven by an indomitable spirit that defined humanity itself. With each step into darkness ahead, she felt hope igniting within her, a flame that refused to be extinguished no matter how fierce the winds blew or how daunting their journey became. This sets up an engaging beginning for your story while adhering to your guidelines. Let me know when you're ready for part 2 or if you need any adjustments. A new challenge. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. Max and her squad had made their way deeper into the forest, their senses still on high alert after their encounter with the massive beast. They had set up a temporary camp, surrounded by towering trees that loomed like ancient sentinels. Max felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. This was only the beginning, and she knew they had to prepare for whatever came next. As night fell, the sounds of the forest transformed. Creatures stirred in the underbrush, their calls echoing through the trees. Max gathered her team around a small fire, its flickering light illuminating their faces. She could see exhaustion etched in their features, but there was also a glimmer of determination. "Listen up," Max began, her voice steady. "We survived our first encounter, but we can't let our guard down. We need to scout this area and gather intel on any potential threats." Private Leo Garcia nodded, still nursing his bruised ribs from the earlier encounter. "I can take point," he offered, his voice firm despite the pain. Max shook her head. "You need to rest. I'll lead the next scouting party." She glanced at the others, Corporal Jenna Lee and Specialist Raj Patel, both ready to follow her lead. Into the unknown, the trio set out into the darkness, their weapons drawn and senses heightened. The forest was alive with sounds, rustling leaves, distant howls, and something that felt like eyes watching them from the shadows. As they moved cautiously through the underbrush, Max felt a mix of adrenaline and fear. This was not just a training exercise. It was real. "Stay close," she whispered as they navigated through thick foliage. Suddenly, a low growl echoed nearby, causing them to freeze in place. "What was that?" Jenna whispered, her eyes wide. "Something big," Raj replied, scanning their surroundings. Before they could react, a creature lunged from the shadows. A sleek, predatory beast with sharp teeth and glistening scales. It charged at them with terrifying speed. "Fire!" Max shouted as she raised her weapon and squeezed the trigger. The blast illuminated the darkened forest like lightning. The fight for survival. The creature dodged her shot but stumbled momentarily, giving Jenna and Raj enough time to open fire as well. The air filled with gunfire and roars as they fought for their lives. Max's heart raced as she focused on her target. Every instinct screamed at her to survive. "Keep moving," she yelled as they dodged behind a tree for cover. The beast was relentless, its eyes filled with primal rage as it circled them. "It's flanking us," Raj shouted as he fired again, narrowly missing its side. Max took a deep breath and made a split-second decision. "We need to draw it away from here." Jenna created distraction. Jenna nodded and threw a flashbang grenade toward the beast. The explosion lit up the night sky and disoriented it momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Max charged forward while firing at its exposed flank. The creature let out an agonizing roar before collapsing to the ground in defeat. Breathing heavily, Max looked back at her team, relief flooding through her as they regrouped. Aftermath of battle. As they caught their breath amidst fallen leaves and scattered debris, Max felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had survived another encounter in this hostile world, and together they had proven their strength. "Nice work out there," she said, clapping Jenna on the shoulder while Raj grinned widely. "Yeah, I didn't think we'd make it for a second," Raj admitted, still panting from exertion. Max smiled, but quickly sobered up. "This is just the beginning. We need to report back to base and assess our next steps." As they made their way back through the forest toward camp, Max's mind raced with thoughts about what lay ahead. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for humanity's place among these stars. A chance to show that they were resilient warriors capable of facing any challenge head-on. Regrouping. Upon returning to camp, Max gathered her squad around the fire once more. The atmosphere was different now. There was an unspoken bond formed between them through shared danger and victory. "We need to come up with a plan," she said seriously. "We've proven we can handle ourselves against these beasts, but we need to know what else is out there." Leah spoke up from where he rested against a tree trunk. "What about those alien structures we saw on our way in? They look like they could be bases or outposts." Max nodded thoughtfully. "Good point. We should investigate them tomorrow." Jenna chimed in with enthusiasm. "If we can find out who, or what, lives there, we might gain valuable intel about potential threats." Raj added cautiously, "But we have to be careful. We don't know if they're hostile or friendly." Max agreed wholeheartedly. Caution would be key in navigating this uncharted territory filled with unknown dangers. Preparing for tomorrow. As night deepened around them and stars twinkled above like distant lanterns guiding their way forward, Max felt an odd sense of hope swell within her chest. They were not alone. Each member of her squad brought unique strengths that complemented one another perfectly. They spent some time discussing strategies before finally settling down for rest. Exhaustion weighed heavily on them all after such an intense day, filled with chaos and triumph alike. Max lay awake for a while longer than she intended, thoughts racing through her mind about what awaited them in this new world filled with danger at every turn, but eventually drifted off into sleep knowing that together they would face whatever challenges came next head-on. Let me know when you're ready for part 3 or if you have any adjustments in mind. The encounter. As the echoes of battle faded, Max and her team stood at the edge of a clearing, their hearts still racing from the adrenaline of their recent skirmish. They had successfully navigated the dangers of the forest, but now they faced a new challenge: the alien structures that loomed in the distance. These buildings, unlike anything they had seen before, were a mix of organic shapes and metallic surfaces, pulsating with an otherworldly glow. "Let's approach with caution," Max instructed, her voice low but firm. "We don't know if these structures are inhabited or what kind of beings we might encounter." The team moved forward quietly, their weapons at the ready. The air was thick with tension as they stepped into the clearing, surrounded by towering alien architecture that seemed to pulse with life. Max felt a knot tighten in her stomach. This was uncharted territory, and every instinct told her to be wary. A surprising discovery. As they approached one of the larger structures, they noticed movement within. Shadows flitted past the windows, and strange sounds echoed from inside. Max raised a hand to signal her team to halt. "Let's observe for a moment," she whispered. Peering through a gap in the foliage, they caught sight of several alien figures gathered around a holographic display. They were unlike any species Max had encountered so far, tall and slender with iridescent skin that shimmered in various hues. Their features were sharp and angular, giving them an air of elegance that contrasted sharply with the brutish creatures they had fought earlier. "What do you think they're doing?" Jenna asked, her curiosity piqued. Max shook her head. "I don't know, but we need to find out." Just then, one of the aliens turned and spotted them. Its eyes widened in surprise before it raised a hand in a gesture that seemed both welcoming and cautious. To Max's astonishment, it spoke in a melodic voice that resonated through the clearing. "Humans, we mean no harm," it said, its tone soothing. "We are the Viralians, and we seek allies against a common enemy." A fragile alliance, Max exchanged glances with her team, unsure of how to proceed. "Allies," she echoed cautiously. "What enemy do you speak of?" The Viralian stepped closer, its movements graceful yet deliberate. "The Grak," it replied, its expression turning serious. "They have invaded our lands and threaten our existence. We have watched your kind fight bravely against them. We believe you can help us." Max considered this for a moment. The Grak were indeed a formidable foe. If these aliens were genuine in their plea for help, forming an alliance could be beneficial for both parties. "We'll listen," she finally said, lowering her weapon slightly but keeping it at the ready. "But trust must be earned." The Viralian nodded in understanding. "Of course. My name is Elira. Allow me to show you what we know about the Grak's movements." Learning together, Elira led them into the structure, where holographic displays illuminated the room with vibrant colors. Maps and data streamed across the screens as Elira explained their situation. "The Grak had established bases throughout this region," she said, pointing to various locations on the map. "They are ruthless conquerors who destroy everything in their path." Max listened intently as Elira detailed their tactics and strategies against the Grak forces. The Viralians had been fighting back using guerrilla warfare tactics that relied on stealth and cunning rather than brute strength. "We can teach you our methods," Elira offered earnestly, "in exchange for your military might and technology." Max felt a spark of hope ignite within her. This could be exactly what they needed to turn the tide against their common enemy. Training together, over the next few days, Max's team integrated with the Viralians as they trained together in preparation for their joint operations against the Grak. Max was impressed by how quickly her squad adapted to Elira's teachings. They learned to move silently through the forest and use their surroundings to their advantage. Jenna excelled at stealth tactics, while Raj became adept at using Viralian technology for reconnaissance missions. Max herself found inspiration in Elira's leadership style, calm yet assertive, and began incorporating those principles into her own command. One evening after training, Max sat down with Elira to discuss their plans further. "We need to strike soon," Max said firmly. "The longer we wait, the stronger they become." Elira nodded thoughtfully. "I agree. We should target one of their supply depots first. It will disrupt their operations significantly." "Let's gather our teams then," Max replied with determination. The plan takes shape. As night descended upon them once more, both human and Viralian forces gathered around a holographic map spread across a makeshift table made from fallen branches and leaves. Max stood at the head of the group as she laid out their plan. "We'll split into two teams. One will create a diversion while the other infiltrates the depot to gather intel and sabotage supplies." Elira added details about how Viralian technology could enhance their efforts, using cloaking devices for stealth and drones for reconnaissance. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as everyone prepared for what lay ahead, a chance not only to defeat a common enemy, but also to forge an alliance that could change everything. A shared purpose, as they finalized their strategy under starlit skies filled with distant galaxies above them. Max felt an overwhelming sense of unity among her team and their new allies, the Virelians. They were no longer just humans fighting for survival on an alien world. They were part of something greater, a coalition formed from shared struggles against oppression and tyranny. With determination burning brightly within them all, they prepared for battle, their hearts united by purpose as they set forth into unknown dangers together. Let me know when you're ready for Part 4 or if you need any adjustments. A tense standoff. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as the Grak Patrol rounded the corner, their grotesque forms illuminated by the eerie glow of the ship's bioluminescent walls. Jess felt a rush of adrenaline surge through her veins, her instincts kicking in as she trained her plasma rifle on the lead Grak. The creature's many eyes blinked in unison, and its mandibles clicked ominously. "Looks like we've got company," she quipped, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I hope they brought snacks." Zek's eye stalks widened in alarm. "Human Jessica, this is not the time for jokes." "Sure it is," Jess shot back, grinning despite the tension. "What's life without a little humor?" The Grek began to chatter angrily among themselves, their voices a cacophony of hisses and clicks. They were heavily armed, and Jess could see the glint of energy weapons in their grasp. It was clear they weren't here for a friendly chat. "Focus," Maxine Carter's voice cut through the air like a knife. She stepped forward, her own weapon raised and ready. "We need to take them out before they alert anyone else." The first shot, without waiting for further discussion, Max fired first, her shot striking one of the Graks squarely in the chest. The creature let out a horrific screech as it fell to the ground, lifeless. The sound triggered chaos among the remaining Grak. They scattered in different directions, instinctively seeking cover. "Let's move," Max shouted, leading the charge into battle. Jess followed closely behind, her heart pounding with exhilaration. She fired at another Grak, her aim true as it crumpled under her shot. Zek and Grovlak joined in, their combined firepower creating a symphony of destruction that echoed through the corridor. "Keep pushing forward," Max commanded as they advanced deeper into enemy territory. A sudden twist, just as victory seemed within reach, a loud alarm blared throughout the ship, bathing them in red light. Jess felt a chill run down her spine. This was not good. "What did you do?" Zek exclaimed, his antennae twitching nervously. "I didn't do anything," Jess retorted defensively. "I'm just here for the punchlines." Max's face hardened with determination. "We need to finish this quickly before reinforcements arrive." But just as they were about to breach the next door, a figure emerged from the shadows, a Virelian soldier named Elira. Her expression was frantic as she waved them down. "Stop, you're walking into a trap," she shouted. Max hesitated, glancing at Jess and Zek. "What do you mean?" "The Grak have set up an ambush ahead," Elira explained breathlessly. "They knew you would come this way." The betrayal revealed. Before Max could respond, another Virelian stepped forward, this one wearing an insignia that marked him as a high-ranking officer. His name was Corin, and he had been part of Elira's team since their alliance began. "You should have listened to me," Corin said coldly, his eyes narrowing at Max and her team. "You humans are reckless." "What are you talking about?" Max demanded, confusion flooding her mind. Corin stepped closer, his voice low and menacing. "You think we wanted your help? You're nothing but pawns in our game against the Grak." Elira's eyes widened in shock. "Corin, what are you saying?" But Corin continued undeterred. "You've been used to draw out our enemies while we plan our true attack from behind your backs." Jess felt a surge of anger rise within her. "You played us, after everything we've done together." Corin smirked, his demeanor shifting from ally to adversary in an instant. "You were always too naive to see it coming. A fight for survival. Before anyone could react further, Corin raised his weapon toward Max and her team. In that split second of realization, Jess acted on instinct. She lunged forward and tackled Corin to the ground just as he fired his weapon. The shot went wild, ricocheting off the walls and igniting chaos in the corridor once more. Zek and Grovlak quickly turned their weapons on Corin while Max aimed at Elira. "Get back," Max shouted at Elira as she prepared to fire. But Elira held up her hands defensively. "Wait, I didn't know he was planning this." Chaos erupted around them as both sides prepared for combat. Former allies now turned enemies amidst swirling confusion. A desperate stand, "Jess, get Corin." Max yelled over the din of gunfire as she focused on keeping Elira at bay. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Jess wrestled with Corin on the ground while dodging stray shots from both sides. The Virelian officer was strong but distracted. Jess managed to pin him down momentarily. "You think you can take me?" Corin spat defiantly. "Watch me." Jess shot back with fierce determination as she delivered a swift punch to his jaw. Meanwhile, Zek and Grovlak engaged with other Virelians who had sided with Corin, each side fighting fiercely for their beliefs and survival. Max found herself locked in a standoff with Elira. Both women were unwilling to back down despite their shared history. "We can still work together," Elira pleaded desperately. "No, you've betrayed us," Max shouted back as she prepared to fire again. The turning point. Just then, an explosion rocked the corridor, the sound reverberating like thunder through their bodies. The blast sent everyone sprawling to the ground. Debris fell from above as alarms blared louder than ever before. "Now's our chance," Jess yelled as she scrambled to regain her footing while still keeping Corin pinned beneath her weight. Max seized upon this moment of chaos. She aimed at Corin again, but hesitated when she saw Jess struggling with him. "Get off him," Max shouted at Jess while trying to assess if they could still save Corin or if he was beyond redemption. But before anyone could act further, more Grak soldiers poured into the corridor from all sides, overwhelming them with sheer numbers. "We need to retreat," Zek cried out urgently as he fired at incoming foes while trying to protect his comrades. Jess finally managed to shove Corin off her and stood up beside Max just as another explosion rocked their surroundings again, this time closer than before. "No time for arguments. We fight or we die," Max shouted decisively as she rallied everyone together for one last stand against overwhelming odds. The fight continues, with renewed determination fueled by desperation and betrayal alike. They formed up against their enemies. Both former allies turned foes now fighting alongside each other against a common threat. The Grak forces closing in around them like wolves stalking prey. As they fought valiantly amidst chaos and confusion, their hearts united by purpose, they realized that sometimes trust can be broken, but resilience remains unyielding even when faced with impossible odds. Let me know when you're ready for Part 5 or if you need any adjustments.